Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. This is my 58th episode. I'm Sarah Albritton, and this is the podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. I'm happy to be part of the Laugh Factory podcast network. Like I said, this is my 58th episode, and I interviewed actor and comedian from LA, Brendan Scannell. Brendan and I talked about life in LA, creepy old houses, his upcoming series, Heathers, and the process of going from recording a pilot to getting it picked up, and much, much more. You can follow Brendan on Twitter at Brendan Scannell and check out his website, brendanscannell.com. That's Scannell, Scannell. Brendan is also part of a weekly show called Jeffrey Live, and you can check that out, jeffreylive.com, and that's every Sunday at noon. You can catch me every Monday at I.O. in Chicago at 7 p.m. for POV, and also catch me on the 26th at Zany's in Old Town at 8 p.m. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. You can go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week I'd like to recommend So Anyway by John Cleese. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. If you like this podcast, please subscribe on iTunes and iHeartRadio and rate and review. You can also go to sleepingwithsarah.com for more information. Well, let's get started with the show. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and I'm here with my guest, Hi. Brendan Scannell.
Brendan Scannell,
Scannell,
yes.
Sorry, Scannell.
Scannell, yeah. It's like in Ireland, they pronounce it Scannell, which is so disgusting, but everyone in America pronounces it Scannell. So I feel like at some point, one of my relatives was just like, we're going to be classy about it.
How'd you sleep last night, Brendan?
I slept okay. I'm staying at my parents' house in Indiana. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm like in Northwest Indiana for a week. So I'm staying in. It's like they moved out of my childhood home into this lake house, and it's super like how do I describe it? You know, like in When a Stranger Calls, like the new one. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen the new one.
It's like 10 years old, but there's like, it's this glass panel-y house, and then he's in the house and, kills everyone. It's like that with like a lot of weird crevices. So I'm terrified I check the curtains behind bathtubs and, look in closets before I go to bed and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it feels like a house that's like a scary movie is filmed in.
Yeah. And it's like not my house that I grew up in. So I like jump into the bed type situation.
That's always weird too, because when I was away my first year from college, my parents moved houses, so it's like I kind of had a room, but it wasn't really my room ever.
That's like exactly what this is.
It's like they packed a bunch of my stuff up. They're like, go through it, get rid of it. yeah
I have like a whole box of that's in the basement that my mom is just like, can we throw this out? And I'm like, no, just until you die, you need to have this box of my trophies.
Yeah, no, I mean, my parents are kind of hoarders anyways. They've always had like a storage room of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I've always been like, well, I get this from you guys, so you can't get mad at me.
Oh, see, my mom is a little bit of a hoarder, so I'm like an anti-hoarder. She's not like, she's pretty good about it, but I'm like a throw everything out type person.
What does she hoard?
She just like memories, that type of stuff, like photos and.
But you could take digital photos of like the memory stuff, like if you got a ticket stub or something.
But it makes sense for her mentally that she has just a box of photos in a basement somewhere than like a bunch of photos on a phone that she will definitely lose. Type thing.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Or like a computer that she's gone through enough of them. Mm-hmm. She breaks stuff all the time, so.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to parents about the backing up system with computers and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to back up my laptop, and now every time I open it up, it goes, last backup, and I'm at 541 days, so all my shit's ready to go.
And you're in town from LA, right?
I am, yes.
Yes. How long have you been out there?
I've been there 3.5 years, I guess. 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So I was in Chicago. Not Chicago, technically. I lived in Evanston because I went to Northwestern. So I would like come down and do like IO and stuff like that. And then I moved there in 2013. So.
And were you doing stand-up in Chicago before you moved?
No, I was always too afraid to do it. And then I like got to LA and it's just such a cool scene. And like, it just, everyone was like, oh, you do improv? I don't want to go see that. But I would go see you do stand-up. And so I'm I don't know how it is for you, but like, it was like, well, I need people to see me. And then I started loving doing it. So I've been doing it now, like 3 years.
Yeah, that's about the same as me. I have been doing improv and sketch for many years, and then my whole thing was and I've said this on the podcast before, but I was part of these groups that were great, but we'd have like a run at Donnie Skybox, a run at the playground, a run all these places, and then we'd fall apart, and I was sick of having to depend on 8 other people to be able to perform, and I was like, I want to just go and do something myself. And so I just Googled the closest open mic. I knew nobody there. Yeah. And thankfully, it didn't go that horribly. I mean, it's still not great.
Met.
But
like, we met when you were out in LA doing shows, and it's so nice to be able to I'm doing like, 8 shows while I'm here, while I'm in Indiana, basically. And I was able to do that just by being like, oh yeah, it's just me. And
yeah,
it's self-reliance. It's Walt Whitman.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like being able to just and it's like you could go up anywhere. It's like if anyone has a show anywhere, it's like if I'm going out of town for fun, I'm just like, hey, is there a show? It's just easy.
God, I did this like bonkers show last night at this weird like art space called Digital Art Demo Space, and it was like a music show that there was a comedy portion of. So it was like basically like a half hour of trance music and everybody smoking weed, and then like all of a sudden comics got up and the audience was like, no, we don't want this. We want more trance music.
It's always weird to go in the middle of like I've seen it also like before like concerts and things like where they've got bands and they're like, oh yeah, while they're switching their instruments, have a comic go up, and that's like the weirdest crowd.
Yeah, because you're like half just like, well, all I really want to talk about is how weird this is that there's a hot tub in this art space, and how did they get it upstairs?
Wait, a hot tub?
There was a full hot tub there, like that a very sweaty man was just sitting in. And I was told that at one point at a previous event, there was like a mermaid doing people's fortunes in there.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Where was this?
Bridgeport.
Okay. I was thinking like Pilsen, like that area.
Yeah, very much that area. It was like, yeah.
That's cool. And so, in LA, you just started doing stand-up, and did you still continue with improv and do like UCB or any of that stuff?
I did like some classes, but I never did like a UCB like team or anything like that. And I was on an IO Chicago team when I was in college, and then like a Herald team, and I did that for like a year in LA, and then but I don't really do that much improv anymore. I'll like guest sometimes. And then, yeah, I'd like to do more of it. It's more that sort of thing of like, oh yeah, I don't have a group and I'm not trying to necessarily like spearhead one. Yeah. You know?
Yeah,
I'm not like an organizational mastermind. Yeah.
You're like, jump on the bandwagon if there's somebody already doing it.
So like my whole family lives in Chicago, and I have all these shows or whatever this week, and I'm getting a bunch of texts and emails that are like, hey, when can I come see you? When can I come see you? And I'm like, okay, here are the shows. Like, here's the information. Would love to see you. That's kind of all I can do. I can't facilitate like a bunch of organizational stuff. Like,
oh yeah, you can't be like, hey, we're gonna do this at this time. Yeah, I don't like that.
Some people can. Some people are great at that, and I love having people like that in my friend group. Like in LA, I have like this group of like, one of my friend groups anyway is like 8 gays, and like 2 of them are organization gays, and then that's nice. 6 of us, and then 2 of us are like total just whenever like jump on the back of a truck gays, and then the other 4 are like somewhere in between.
Gotcha.
And so, but the 2 that are the organization ones are like, oh hey, we're going to Palm Springs, and like we're renting this place, and this is how much money you owe, and etc.
They make the decision for you. That's nice.
Exactly. And sometimes those 4 in between people will have thoughts, but my friend Jared and I are always just like, whatever.
See, I like having the idea. Like every year I try to go to, I'm from Louisville, so my parents have a place in Louisville, so I try to get a group of people to go to Derby.
Oh,
But I always just kind of put feelers out there, but I never make too much effort to make it a big thing, so it's usually just, like, a handful of people that go. But it's just, like, I don't know. I'm not that person that's, like, like pushy about it. Hey, this is what you need to do at this time. And
a friend of mine brought us down to Keeneland once.
Oh, yeah?
That's in
Lexington.
Lexington, yeah. And we went to horse races and I just got hammered.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's basically what it is. You just drink and the bars don't close at Derby, so they're open all night, and that's really cool.
It's pretty nuts. I mean, everyone references that, like, Hunter S. Thompson essay where he just talks about, like, a man peeing into a urinal and puking onto his own shoes. Have you ever read that? I
haven't read that, but he did live in Louisville, and I have read some of his stuff.
So he wrote like a Derby essay, and basically it's just about, like, you know, people in what are those striped suits? Yeah, they are. Oh my gosh, I should know this. You really should.
I know what it's called, but I can't. Seersucker suit.
Seersucker, yeah. Just wasted. It's a great essay, though.
Oh, I've read some of his essays before. Like, there's one that's called Happy Birthday, Jack Nicholson, which was, like, this small little... Like, there's just a bunch of weird, awesome stories, and he lived in Louisville for a while, so that's kind of why it's kind of, like, probably purposeful to him. But Louisville's become, like, cool since I've left, you know, so...
Just, like, a quick note on Hunter S. Thompson. I heard this recently that Johnny Depp... when Hunter S. Thompson died, paid $1 million to shoot Hunter S. Thompson's ashes out of a cannon.
Oh, I did not know that.
I know. You're like, cool, but also why? And $1 million.
Well, he was also very close to him.
Yeah, but I guess that Johnny Depp's just, like, stupid rich, I guess. Because it's $1 million. Also, how much does a cannon cost?
I mean, it shouldn't cost that much. Like,
there's
how
no
much
way a cannon costs $1 million.
But maybe, like, I mean, was it a cannon and there's fireworks that shoot off afterwards? Like,
yeah, there's probably, like, a party element that, like, had a certain budget, but $1
million is not very much to him.
Well, now that his, like, divorce is all happening and he's like suing his managers and his, like, basically he's suing, like, his managers, his agents, and his financial people.
Wow.
So, like, his lawyers from his team are just suing literally everyone who was on his team. All of this stuff is coming to light about, like, his budgeting, and that was one of the fun details.
Oh, that's weird.
And, like, he has 14 residences.
14? That's way too many. Like, you could rent a nice place, you know? Like, yeah, I know. That's why you did, like, 4 of those movies or however many.
Oh, there's a 5th one coming out.
Oh, yes.
It comes out May 26th.
Yes. And you act as well.
I do act, yeah.
So, were you doing that before you did improv, or is this something that you fell more into when you moved to LA?
I mean, I was like I guess I was a theater major at Northwestern and always always was acting growing up.
Wait, did you ever do the study abroad in Oxford?
No.
Because I did that with a bunch of
RADA?
Yeah, I did VADA. And so, because I knew like, there was probably 8 kids that were from Northwestern, and that's where I had to go to audition. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was
fun.
like, like I knew a bunch of people.
Yeah, I never did that for, like, some stupid reason. I never studied abroad.
Oh, no, it's all right. I mean, like, studying abroad to England is probably the dumbest thing in the world. It's like, why didn't I go somewhere where I could actually learn a language?
Yeah. Well, you know, you can always go somewhere else, I guess.
But they've got a really good theater program, from what I hear.
Yeah, it was dope. I mean, it's like a great place to do comedy, because you can, like, have the resources of the city, plus, like, the school has, like, great alumni in comedy. So, like, when I moved out to LA, I felt like I, like, immediately... everything felt really tangible. You know what I'm saying? Like...
Oh, you're like, this person did this, that was their path, and I can kind of follow that.
And there's, like, so much TV now that it's like, oh, yeah, like, it shouldn't be too hard. Like, I do feel like there's a certain... I love Chicago. There's a certain, like, mystique around, like... that when I was living here, there was, like, a certain mystique around, like, TV or film success, where, like, people would be at I.O. doing shows, like, 6 nights a week, and they'd be like, yeah, it's like, I love comedy, and I'm super funny, but, I either, like, work at Groupon, and that's the life I'm choosing, or, like, I'll audition for SNL once a year for 8 years, and then that'll be it. And there's a certain sense of, I think maybe there's less of that now, but, in LA, it's kind of like... everybody is there's so much work just because there's so much shit happening. And it's not all good work, but it's all there.
Yeah, no, I think that's what's interesting. And there isn't that much, I mean, they just, like, Shrink is a recent thing. That's the first comedy thing they've ever filmed here, like, other than a movie, like a TV series.
Oh, really?
All the other series are all dramas. So it's, like, very hard when we don't have that many opportunities here. And it's also, like, the way auditions are and things like that. It's like you have to be represented to know about them, and like not all of them, but like a lot of them. And so it's just it's very different, I think, than the LA landscape. And also, a lot of people here do it for fun, and they don't do it for a career.
I totally miss that. So I miss like meeting people who like were lawyers and like had vibrant outside lives that
they had like their secret life of an improviser.
Yeah, like when I was doing classes at IO, like my favorite person was like worked at Google, and then like this other person was a physical therapist, and they were just like down to clown. And that's like a really cool, like an amazing part of the Chicago scene, I think.
I think it is really cool, but at the same time, it is a weird motivational thing. Like, I like going out to LA because everyone I meet is like actually actively pursuing what they want to do and like working on their stuff or writing pilots or working on this. And so that's what's kind of nice, is being around the people that are doing that makes me want to do that more.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have like a class of people you're in, like not a class like socioeconomic class, but like a graduating types. Like, I feel like when I started doing stand-up, like, and I'm still sort of in the trenches with like the same type of people I've been doing it for the past 3 years, with the people who have been doing it, you know, for like 6 or 7 years now are like starting to break, and you can feel my class being like, oh yeah, that'll be us in a little bit. Yeah. Hopefully. As long as they're not like complete shitbags or just bad at comedy.
But you do a lot of fun things too. I watched that Jeffrey Live show.
Oh yeah.
Which is really fun. That seems like a blast. So can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So my friend Jeffrey Self, who's like honestly so just like a true conversationalist. Like, he's the type of person who, like, when I'm at a dinner with him, I'll just laugh my face off. But he hosts this show that's like, it's supposed to be weekly, but we usually do it in spurts. So we'll do like 5, and then we'll take a couple weeks off. And it's basically like a podcast, but it's this Facebook Live show shot in his house on an iPhone. And so his house was built by, it's not his house, it's like owned by this guy who used to be the showrunner of Roseanne, who's like some like rich old Roseanne gay, and like 5 years ago just moved to New York to live in the West Village with his millions of dollars.
Oh yeah.
And so at the same time Jeffrey was moving to LA, and so this guy, Eric Gilliland, who's amazing, was just like, oh, just live in my house. And so the house was built by Buster Keaton in the 1920s.
What?
Yeah, isn't that wild?
That's awesome.
It's really cool. And so every episode is like, we move through his house, and we like start in the bedroom, and then we move into the living room, and we have like our A guests, quote unquote, which are like, we've had, you know, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, and
I saw Jason Ritter,
Alan Cummings, Kevin McHale from Glee, like all these great people. And then like our B guests, quote unquote, are like equally amazing people, kind of like in the LA comedy scene, or who are like, you know, like Darcy Carden from The Good Place, that new show that just came out. And it's just really like a blast. Interesting. And then we just like drink rosé after.
That's fun, and it's like it seems like a little party, like
every
house
week
show.
Is like a party. And at first, when we first started doing it, I was like, I can't believe people keep coming to this. But now more and more people come to it, and it's just like this weekly afternoon show that kind of, it's like a half-hour show that then just turns into a hang.
That's fun. Yeah. That's really cool. And so it's just done in the afternoon. Like, what I liked about it was I didn't expect you to go, because I was just like, oh, what's this? I'm just going to look at it. I didn't expect, like, to go to the next room and, like, and then you go to the next room and there's the musical guest, and it was, like, really cool how it was set up that way. So that was...
Yeah, and I'm, like, the Andy Richter, like, side character who he calls his house twink. And it's just, like, so fun. And I don't know about you, but I get really bad anxiety on Sundays. Like, I'm not an anxious person except for, like, for 4 hours in the afternoon on Sundays, usually. I just get really nervous about the week to come. And so this weird thing in the afternoon every Sunday is like such a mitigator of that.
Is this because like, well, but you don't have a set 9 to 5? Well, I guess when you're shooting.
Yeah, I guess right now, like I'm doing this project this summer, but until then I don't have a day job, and maybe that's why it's like unstructured. Yeah. I have so much unstructured time that.
But you just finished so what's shooting schedule like for stuff?
Well, I shot this pilot in November. It's Heather's, and which is super fun. It's this remake of this movie or this adaptation of the movie, and so I'm playing like one of the Heathers.
So one of the Heathers is a guy now.
Yeah, he's like gender fluid. His name is Heath. He's fabulous, and it's like. In one scene I'll be wearing a cape, and the other one I'll be wearing a skirt, and
that's fun.
Yeah, it's just so great, and the cast is amazing, and it's kind of like all our first jobs. And the showrunners, this guy Jason McAuliffe, who's incredible. So I shot that in November, and they picked it up, and so we're shooting the other 9 episodes, and it's an hour. So
it's an hour long. Mm-hmm. Now the film, I recently rewatched it, and it's very dark.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be really dark. I mean, the film includes school gun violence.
Yeah, and but the way it's done, it's like this film is like kind of surrealist mixed with like this very dark humor, and you're like, is this a real scene? And then you're like, oh, it is.
Yeah, it's like Carrie in that way. I think just like stylistically, it's so like all of our colors, and so my color's green, and that's what I'm wearing in basically everything. And
the show's, I think it's on Netflix right now if anyone wants to watch Heathers.
Oh yeah, the movie's on Netflix.
Shannon Doherty and Winona Ryder.
Yeah, and Christian Slater.
I feel like Winona Ryder like played a teenager for like 25 years. Like
she was fully 19 when that movie came out.
Oh, she was.
Yeah.
But I just remember she played like Autumn in New York or something like that. She was like, that was like 20 years later, and she was still playing a teenager.
Did you watch Stranger Things?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, she's in that. She's great. She's awesome in it. It's so fun.
No, I mean, I like her a lot. I just noticed that she doesn't age very much, so like they keep casting her as like younger.
Yeah. Well, have you ever seen like Little Women? Yeah, I love her in Little Women.
Yeah.
She's like a cool chick. Shannon Doherty she cameos in the pilot, which is really cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Be in other episodes too, hopefully.
So
basically, my character Heather Duke is based off of her character Heather Duke. Which is
that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, so it does play with the dark humor still.
Oh yeah, good. I mean, I haven't read the other 9 episodes yet, but from what I hear, they're very dark. So,
well, what I like about, because it's on TV Land, right?
So they just switched networks. It's like this is like some global conglomerate, like not that interesting stuff, but like so. Basically Viacom owns like 10 networks or whatever, and so what they're doing is they are rebranding Spike into a network called Paramount Network. I know, this is like so LA. I'm like, they're rebranding Spike into Paramount Network, and Paramount Network is supposed to be their version of like FX, which has like Atlanta and
I really
American
like
Horror
FX
Story.
Is one of my favorite because I think they take a lot of chances.
Yeah, it's like really risky, like cool, like creator based stuff, and so that's what basically they the president of TV Land is now also the president of Paramount Network, and so they finished it, and now they officially, as of like 2 weeks ago, have moved us to the Paramount Network. And so I'm explaining that in such detail to you because I've explained it to my parents literally 100 times. Where they're like, what's happening? And I'm like, okay.
Well, because I know some of the katydids for teachers,
so
and
great.
so I know Katie Colotton, and I've met a couple of the other ones at like parties and stuff, but like, but yeah, so seeing them TV Land, I love how they.
So fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so well written, but it's because they write it and they're in it, and like they almost have responsibility for it all.
Yeah. So the guy Keith Cox, who is the network president and like developed the Katydids television show based off their web series also developed my show.
Oh, the same guy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So what I like about that is he's actually taking chances on people that aren't having, like, it is their first show, you know, and it's like really showing success because maybe they're going out there and they don't think of as much as, oh, is this going to sell? They just want to work on good work.
Completely. I mean, they've been amazing to me, and I'm super excited for it. And so then we're shooting it this summer, starting in like May, June, and then it comes out in like January or something.
So what's that timeline process of like being on a pilot? So you filmed the pilot in November, and so it's not going to air
until January of the next year. So
that's a year. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a great problem to have, but it's like a lot of waiting, and it's a lot of like...
Because that's not pilot season, though. That's not... November isn't during pilot season, so that's...
There's, like, no pilot season now. That's like, more of a myth. I mean, a lot of stuff happens in pilot season, but an equal amount of stuff happens at other times of year now. So, especially that early time. So, I auditioned for Heathers in September, and I was concurrently auditioning for, like, 3 other pilots in September, October of last year.
Oh.
And so, yeah. Yeah. So that, but 3 of the people were cast out of New York, so off tape.
Off tape.
Well,
send those tapes in, people.
Send the tape. I think they submitted tapes and then they flew them out to LA for like sessions.
And did you get an audition through an agent or through something else?
I got the audition through. I mean, I had an agent and managers, but I got it through a friend. So I was at my friend Jordan Firstman's birthday party. So it was him and his boyfriend Charles Rogers, and Charles created Search Party.
Oh.
And so it was their birthday party at my friend Jim's house, and the creator of Heathers, Jason, was there, and I was there, and they were having trouble casting this part because they weren't really sure what they wanted for it. And he apparently was just like, we need someone like that. And he like pointed to me. And then my friend Jordan was like, oh, that's Brendan. You should bring him in. So then I auditioned literally like 2 days later.
So literally he saw you at a party. He's like, we need someone like him. Oh, then you audition and then you get the part.
Well, I'm sure I was like drunk and twirling because that's what happens when I drink. I like immediately start just like doing twirls.
like literal twirl?
Just like small turns. So I think
that's
fun. That it's like a testament to, I'm sure I got it because I auditioned, but you never know where you're going to get seen, you know?
Oh, yes. In LA. In Chicago, we don't exactly have that
it's
many things.
It's a really strange story, though. It's like...
That is very weird.
And I met Jordan through Jeffrey Self, and so I, as Jeffrey says, I owe him everything.
So you better be there in those afternoon shows to be his...
They shoot on the weekends, Sunday afternoons, so... And then... Yeah, so we shot the pilot in November, and then we found out we got the pickup in January. And then, when that happens, the writers get together and they write it. And so they're going to be done writing it in May, and then we go into production.
Cool. So I like that that's how they do the writing, because I'm also very interested in the writing aspect, because I have a few things that I'm working on my packet, building that up at the moment. But I feel like the best shows are the ones where they have the writers write all the episodes and then you film, instead of having to write and film stuff at the same time. Yeah.
It's kind of like a lot of people... a lot of shows do it different ways from what I can tell. Like, a lot of them, the writers will get like a head start. This is more for like comedies that don't have necessarily a full arc. They're more like episodic, but they'll like get a head start on the show, and then like 3 months into their writing, the show will start shooting, and then they'll still be writing. Yeah, that type of stuff. And this one, I think, kind of like a lot of dramas. They were like, it's going to be like a complete arc of 10 episodes. And so they want to have it all planned out.
Well, I think that those shows end up being a lot better overall. Like some of my favorite, like even like Key and Peele, they would write for 3 or 4 months and then they'd film for 3 or 4 months. It's like, that makes sense. Like as
so good.
Writing,
have you seen Get Out?
Yes, okay. I love that. I've talked about that like 3 times by the time this airs. But I love that. I love that. I love that show. But I think that I think it's what's great about it. Is anybody that's writing also in it, or is it just a separate cast?
Separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, I think from a, the cast standpoint, so there's the three Heathers, and then there's, Veronica and, James, plays, what's his face? JD.
Yeah.
And, so the five of us, it was all kind of like our first big job.
Yeah.
And so, and I write and some of the other people do, but I think it wouldn't make sense for like me to be in the writer's room and them to be like, so now we want to kill someone off, and for me to be like, don't
not me,
please.
No, well, yeah, it is a very different type of show. I guess most of the times I've been listening and paying attention, it's like more comedy. I mean, because it's a dark comedy, which is very cool because you have that.
People are gonna die in it. I'm not sure. They won't tell me who, but.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those suspenseful ones that we're gonna wonder.
I mean, from what I can tell.
Oh, that'll be interesting because there's not really like. The only episodic comedy that's like I need to know what happens next right now is like kind of like Silicon Valley a little bit, because like there's a lot of change, and Veep kind of, but like there aren't a ton of those that like you have to check out every episode to feel what's gonna happen next with comedy.
Yeah, I mean, like Arrested Development's like that, where like it's so built. It's like season 2 for me. It's like 22 episodes, but everything builds, the jokes build on each other in such a way that you feel like so smart to be getting all the callbacks and that kind of stuff. And then the 4th season of Arrested Development, it was, did you watch it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's like each person's story and then they're all telling the stories within it.
Well, I think that's just like speaks to good writing and taking your time with it. And like, that's why I think like having them take their time, scripts are going to be really great, you know?
Yeah. It's, I think it's going to be dope.
Yeah. It sounds like it'll be really fun. I like the dark comedy stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so when you're filming, do you have time to still do stand-up, or how does that work?
So I think like every episode it's like an 8-episode shoot day, but I won't be in everything. So I'm going to still, be like hosting the shows I host. And then if it ends up that I'm missing them a lot, I'll get co-hosts. But,
what shows do you host? We can plug some of that.
I host this show called See What Sticks every month in Los Angeles, and that's on every second Saturday at 5, and it's like a workshop type space. So it's like 2 hours, and people read scripts, do stand-up, do like weird comedy pieces. It's like a more experimental space. And then I'm starting to host this show this month called Panic Room, and that's going to be every month, and I'm hosting that with my friend Caroline Goldfarb, who is on Instagram. She's official Sean Penn. She has like a famous Instagram.
Wait, what's famous about her Instagram?
She has like 400,000 followers and is like kind of like.
Is that her job? Does she do Instagram?
And she writes TV too. So she writes on this new Esther Pavitsky show, Little Esther. She's a comedian. But she has this Instagram that. You know, she has like a store and sells buttons and cakes and stuff. But she's like fucking hilarious. So we're starting to host this show that we're going to do every month at this place in LA called The Virgil.
I've heard of I've been to The Virgil. I've always been curious. I've never been that good at the social media, like updating. Like I'll update stuff for the podcast, and like some weeks I'll be really on my Twitter, and some weeks I don't. Like I'm horrible with that. So I met someone with like 400,000 followers. That's pretty awesome.
I mean, I think the key to social media is to not think about it.
To just do it.
To just do it and trust that it's either going to be fine or no one will see it.
Or you'll, get fired from your... That's the only thing that worries me is sometimes you get things like the Katie Rich thing and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Right. But she didn't get fired, and now, like, nobody even talks about that.
Yeah. Oh, so she didn't get fired then?
No, she got, like, a slap on the wrist.
Okay.
I mean, like, as long as you don't do something, like, super racist. Look at our president. Our president is, like, a fucking glob who his Twitter is horrible, and people will retweet things from like 2011.
And I just can't believe he doesn't have a program that just searches, like just search, for anything that could be construed as racist.
Yeah, well, he just doesn't care, and so I think
because he's the president, he doesn't. Yeah,
like my sister's a lawyer, and I was like, she's like 30, and I was like, you're so with it, you're so intelligent. You should, like, run for some office. And she was like, I couldn't because of, like, my Twitter. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, girl, and look at his Twitter. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy when that, like, grab him by the pussy stuff came out, and sorry for saying that word.
Oh, no, it's fine. This is you can say whatever the fuck you want on here. It's all right.
But that, like, he is now president and Billy Bush got fired.
I know. That's so ridiculous.
Like, impossible to not, like, just throw your hands in the air at.
Well, I mean, I personally think that there's just going to be some things that'll come to light. I don't think he'll come out his full term, personally, but
I know. My roommate in LA works at MGM for Mark Burnett, the reality TV guy, and I'm like, you just need to find me some weird audio. Just find it for me. And he's like, I can't. I don't have access to it, and yeah, I can't. But we're still holding out for that.
Well, anyways, California's got a backup plan. They're going to vote on Cal Exit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean...
What are your thoughts on that? Is that scary?
Well...
California would have to get an army.
California's great. I don't think I'll ever live anywhere else, but it's also, like, half on fire. So, it's like constantly... Half of it's constantly on fire, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot every time I go. I think it's warm and people are happy and it's nice out all the time. It just makes you want to be out there and doing stuff.
Yeah. See, I feel like I'm being in Chicago right now is like everyone seems really happy.
Yeah, we're happy because it's good weather.
Right, I guess
it's
that's
not
true.
like negative 20. We basically skipped a winter. It snowed 2 days.
Really?
Like all winter. It snowed 2 days. So that's why. Like,
when I was at Northwestern, we had like the first snow day in like 20 years, and it was because there was a blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the snowpocalypse and all that kind of stuff, so...
Laying in bed is making me tired.
Oh, it is? Hopefully not too tired. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to... What, you've got a couple shows tonight, yeah?
I've got Sarah Squirm's Hell Trap tonight.
Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Do you know her from... Did she come up to LA? Or?
I know her from school, and then she came out to LA in October. But I used to coach her in improv.
Oh, that's always cool when you see different people that used to like help out when they were younger, like get to a different point.
I saw this interview where like Hugh Jackman's getting interviewed on a red carpet, and the guy's like, Hugh, like, are you excited about Logan? And Hugh Jackman's like, I'm not going to talk about Logan. I used to coach you in PE. And then he like pulls this guy over and he's just like, just so everyone knows, this guy, I used to teach him PE. And I was like, I didn't know you did that. Right. I was like, explain. Well, he also like said it was somewhere in England, and I thought he was from Australia all this time.
I thought he was too. Huh.
Maybe he was just in the movie Australia.
That might have been it. Right? Well, because Nicole Kidman is from Australia, so that could be a little confusing.
So I always thought Hugh Jackman was from Australia. Also, and he is, because he was in The Boy from Oz. And Oz is Australia. He's a song and dance man.
So maybe he was just making stuff up. Like, when you're that famous, you can make stuff up. And
well, I mean, maybe when he was in Australia, he went and studied... now we're just creating this backstory.
We're creating a crazy backstory for Hugh Jackman.
Trying to explain this story.
I think like maybe there's a law where Australians can work in England for a certain amount of time. So maybe he was teaching.
Well, it's all under the crown of the Queen. So like that's why there are so many. Like, there's, like, a huge Nigerian population in London. I'm just talking shit. I have no clue if this is true.
Can you point to Nigeria on a map for me?
Like, no, absolutely not. I was reading about Nigeria earlier today, though, because Hakeem Olajuwon, the basketball player, is from Nigeria, and he had an arranged marriage when he was in the NBA.
Oh, that's weird.
He was Muslim, and so somebody from his mosque in Houston... He got arranged with her. He didn't meet her before they got married. He was an NBA basketball star. They're still together. She was 18.
That's crazy. Well, what's interesting about arranged marriages is like there's...
should I just have one?
Well, the thing is that they're just like... I've read about a lot of them, and I've found them very interesting because you have these different expectations. It's not like... you don't have any, you haven't met the person, you don't have these expectations, and you're just like, you learn how to live together and be together.
Right.
Which I feel like that's just going to be a reality show sometime in the near future. Like, there's going to be like, hey, you want to get arranged marriage? We're going to arrange marriage. You can film it. Like, that's got to be why is that not a reality show yet? I don't know.
I mean, it should be.
But
well, it kind of like reframes like the goal of family or the goal of your relationship. I think that like so much of the way we think about it is like in terms of our own personal happiness, when for a lot of these, I'm not sure if this is the case for Hakeem or like my friends who are Indian whose parents were arranged marriages, but the function of the family unit seems to be to like raise children and take care of each other.
Yeah.
And like
be a companion.
Right. And like what's so wrong with that? It's like the idea that you fall in love.
Yeah.
Also, like sometimes there are kickbacks, you know, like dowries and shit.
Yeah. Well, if you have you read Aziz Ansari's Modern Romance? Because that talks about a lot of that kind of stuff, or just how much it's changed because of technology. Like it used to be like people used to just meet because this person lived like down the street, and like it was a proximity thing, and like they hadn't met that many people, and she worked, you know, or they maybe dated two people before they picked the one they're gonna marry, and that's it. And it's like now it's like, yeah, two people, like that's
right. That's it's like overwhelmed by choice.
Yeah, right. And that's the problem. And I think that's why there's so many. And also, it's like millennials, for the most part, we're just so poor that we can't afford to, you know, have a house, and we can't even think about kids because we're like screwed over by finance stuff.
Yeah, I'm like so not ready to get into anything serious right now. I know we're in bed together, but I mean, this is all very casual for me.
Yeah, like everything for me, it's like I'm the same way. I feel like almost all my friends are the same way too. Except for the occasional hookup buddy that gets a little like too comfy. No, just kidding. Now I feel bad because he probably listens to this. Sorry.
He loves you.
He hasn't said that, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But
I just broke up with a guy who I had said I loved you to.
Oh.
But I feel fine about it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Breakups are really tough.
They're physically hard to go into a room and do that to somebody. I've done it a few times now, and it's never fun.
It is the worst. And I think people, like, getting broken up with sucks, but I think being the person to end something is really hard too.
People don't give it enough credence.
It's
really difficult.
It's really hard, and it's heartbreaking because you do still love the person, but you're like, this isn't gonna work. You gotta stop it.
Yeah.
Before, because I've been in one of those long relationships where we took too long to end things, and it was just a mess.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, like, once my show comes out, I'm only gonna fuck famous people, and so like, I just kind of had to like shed anybody who wasn't famous enough. I hope this video picks up that I'm joking, but the audio listeners are like...
The audio listeners are like, all right.
Yeah.
But that's... Yeah, I think it is a tough thing, but it's something that you have to do, and you gotta, like, for me, it's like, I'm just not getting into anything serious, because...
Well, it seems like you're gonna move. Is that announced?
I guess it is now. No, I mean, some people know.
You're thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I'm planning it out, because I have to save up money, and...
Right,
like,
right.
But
if you're sort of planning something like that, it can be, like, difficult to... you know, you want to, like,
I just want a summer boyfriend. That's all I want. I just want someone to date for, like, 4 months and then, like, be like, see ya.
Well, there was that Chicago reality show that was called Chicago Summer, and it was, like, just about, where it's, basically, it'd be like, hi, I'm Jessica. It's been the worst winter. I'm ready to find a summer love. And then it just combined all these mostly white people.
Yeah.
And some of them dated. It was basically trying to find, like, the Jersey Shore of Chicago, but everyone was too nice. You
That's
know?
funny.
Like
everyone was just, no one was an asshole.
It was just like, Wrigleyville's great, but I'm gonna respect you.
Yeah, there's that Midwestern politeness, which is why I'm excited to get out, because I've said this on the podcast before, Midwest guys just do not know how to pick up people. Like, they're not outgoing, they're not, like, I get hit on more by women than men here, you know, which is nice, because I'm bi, so, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that works too. But, like, whenever I go to LA or New York, it's like, it throws me off because I'm not used to that aggression. Like
sure.
being like, oh, can I buy you a drink? Or like, hey, like, like, second I'm not talking to my guy friend, like, somebody, I was like, wow, like, it makes me feel good.
Well, I think there's, like, you might not even realize this, but not you, but the royal you, everyone, when you're traveling, when you're visiting, you bring a new energy. And so, like, whether or not people know you're traveling or not, they can sense it. And then I feel like they're more likely to, you know, send a look or a line your way. Like,
it's that new energy. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you're somebody new. Even if they don't know it, you are.
Yeah. Are you a big energy person?
Sort of.
Crystals? Do you have crystals?
I don't have crystals, no.
I believe in I like to bring out positive energy because I think that comes back. So I'm very much about, like, the feeling you get. I don't have crystals, but I definitely believe in certain things, like...
Well, I'm, like, an Irish Catholic kid from Indiana and went from going, like... I don't know how I'm feeling, to being a person who's like, you know what, I really just need some me time. And I think LA does that to you, where you move there and all of a sudden you're like, I need to take care of myself. And everyone's like, you really do. Good for you. That's so funny.
Awesome.
I'm taking care of myself. It's awesome, but it's also exhausting.
Well, as we're winding down the podcast here, I always ask people, I know we didn't talk that much about sleep stuff, but I always ask people what your dreams are for the future.
I'm trying to get a summer body. That's like a short-term dream. And I just really like working, you know, I really like working in the stuff where I get paid to do what I'm good at. Is that what I feel? So I just, I kind of have an opportunity to do that right now, and I want to keep doing it.
It's good. That's a good goal. That's awesome.
What are you dreaming about?
Well, also, been working on I've been this awful, like, no carb, no sugar diet, but it's been working.
Whole30?
What?
Whole30?
I don't even know if it's not a specific one. I just is like no processed sugar and no carbs right now. So, and it's been working.
Your
it's like,
skin looks great.
Well, thank you. It has been good. So it's like, that's one, like, a short-term goal for me too. And it's been going well. So it's just like, 15 more pounds and I'll be good. You know?
Don't waste away.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go, you know. Well, I know what the realities of, like, the industry is, and so I'm just like...
You gotta be hot and you gotta suck dick. That's gonna be the title of my memoir.
I think that's gonna be the title of the podcast. You gotta be hot, you gotta suck dick. That stuff doesn't really happen, right?
No.
In auditions or that? No.
No. Well, I'm not a woman, so I'm sure many women would tell you it does. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm also trying to do writing and other things too, so it's not just the acting thing. But
I find that my writing and acting friends who are women in LA are really amazing at like building communities of other women to like help and support and that sort of thing. Way better than my dude friends. Just, you know. That's cool. Support system exists.
Well, there's already there's a group of writers that we meet kind of like every week to go over goals for, like, because we all want to, like, write for TV, and so then there's some of them that have already moved out to LA, and several more will move there before I'm there, and so, like, we'll already have a community of people, which is kind of nice.
It's like how Mormons did it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we didn't plan it. We just, like, all know this is what we want to do, and how do we do that? We need to be there.
Right. You send recons, and they send back info.
Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Your bed's lovely.
Thank you.
I love a duvet.
And we just always end the podcast by saying good night. So good night, everybody.
Sleep well.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Brendan Scannell. You can follow Brendan on Twitter at Brendan Scannell, go to his website, brendanscannell.com, and catch him every Sunday at noon for Jeffrey Live. This podcast is part of the Laugh Factory Podcast Network. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. We're brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can find out more on sleepingwithsarah.com. And please follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Until next time, good night.